Whenever the sad and haunting piano melody of The Lonely Man plays at the end of each episode, I know I am ready for another journey. For many of us, The Incredible Hulk from 1977 was not just a superhero show. It was a reflection of loneliness, an image of a man forever desperately running from himself. Bill Bixby breathed life into the character of David Banner so authentically, not through muscles, but through eyes filled with obsession and a longing to be healed. Yet, behind the camera, behind that thorny green makeup, lies a maze of stories that have never been told. From on-set accidents that nearly took the lives of the actors, to decisions that completely altered the original work of Stan Lee, there are pieces that, if we do not look back, we will forever miss the true soul of this show. Today, join me in brushing off the dust of time to review 15 astonishing facts about a monument that defined our childhood. Things that perhaps even the most loyal fans have accidentally overlooked. 1. Richard Kiel, the Hulk, who was rejected after 2 days of filming. The second shocking fact that few people know is that Lou Ferrigno was not the only and first choice for the role of the Green Giant. Initially, the person assigned this responsibility was actor Richard Kiel, who possessed an extremely impressive height of 2 meters, 18 centimeters, famous for his role as Jaws in the James Bond film series. Richard Kiel actually joined the crew and filmed several important scenes in the first 2 days of the project. However, when the producers and directors sat down together to review the raw footage, they realized a very serious problem regarding the visual image of the character. Although Richard Kiel had a superior height compared to normal people, his body structure was quite slender. When wearing the green paint and performing roaring movements, he looked like a gentle giant from a fairy tale, rather than a muscular beast full of rage and destructive power as expected in the script. The lack of muscle mass made him unable to portray the necessary ferocity. Finally, the crew had to make the painful decision to part ways with Richard Kiel to find a real bodybuilder like Lou Ferrigno. However, if you observe the first episode very carefully, you can still find a trace of Richard Kiel. It is a brief shot when the Hulk looks up from under a large tree, where we only see the silhouette and the eyes of the character. That is the only footage of Richard Kiel still kept in the final cut of this legendary movie. 2. The makeup ordeal of Lou Ferrigno. The first fact we need to mention is the painful transformation process of actor Lou Ferrigno to become the Green Giant. You might mistakenly think it was just a simple costume, but in reality, the makeup was a true ordeal, lasting many hours every day. The green color you see on his skin was not ordinary makeup powder, but an industrial oil-based grease paint with extremely high adhesion and many toxic ingredients. To cover Lou's entire giant body, the team of experts had to use manual brushes to meticulously apply each layer of paint onto every muscle fiber. Things got much worse when the crew filmed in the rain or when the character Hulk had to jump into the water. At that time, the oil paint began to melt and run straight into Lou Ferrigno's eyes, causing terrible burning sensations and severely reducing his vision. The most horrific part was the cleaning stage at the end of each filming day. Due to the sticky nature of industrial oil paint, ordinary water and soap were completely useless. Lou had to use high-concentration alcohol and rough sandpaper to scrub forcefully on his skin. This brutal cleaning process caused his skin to be seriously damaged, peeling and painful throughout the 5 years of making the film. This is the clearest evidence for the silent sacrifice behind the legendary footage. 3. The distance between Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. The fifth fact will show us the level of true artists when they accept sacrificing personal relationships in exchange for absolute authenticity for the role. During many years of recording, a strange thing happened on the set, which was the lack of intimate conversations between Bill Bixby, who played Dr. David Banner, and Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk. This was not because they hated each other or had personal conflicts, but actually a carefully calculated psychological trick initiated by Bill Bixby himself. He believed that for the audience to believe in the existence of two completely different entities in the same body, the two actors themselves had to maintain a certain distance in real life. Bill Bixby intentionally did not become too close friends or discuss acting deeply with Lou Ferrigno on set. The purpose was so that when the transformation on screen happened, the Hulk character would always bring a sense of strangeness, fear, and a complete loss of rational connection to the human part of David Banner. If the two actors understood each other too well, their gestures could accidentally become identical, blurring the line between an elegant medical genius and a wild beast. Thanks to this intentional distance, viewers always felt a real fear and a terrible loss of control every time David Banner struggled to transform. The sacrifice of normal social interactions between the two actors helped create a haunting contrast, making the Hulk not just a man painted green, but truly an alien and threatening entity rising from the depths of David's soul. 4. The battle with a real bear at the lake. In the episode titled Death in the Family, the audience witnessed an amazing sight when the Green Giant faced off directly against a giant bear. What is noteworthy here is that instead of using special effects or a person in a suit, the film crew decided to let Lou Ferrigno wrestle with a real bear weighing over 300 kilograms, named Victor. This was one of the most dangerous scenes in television history at that time. While filming the fight scene in a fast-flowing river, Victor the bear actually became aggressive and suddenly bit down hard on Lou Ferrigno's shoulder. The entire crew was terrified and held their breath for fear that a tragedy would happen right before their eyes. Fortunately, thanks to the foam muscle padding attached to his body, along with many thick layers of green paint which accidentally acted as protective armor, Lou escaped fatal injuries from the sharp teeth of the bear. Experts later concluded that the pungent smell of the industrial grease paint on Lou's body might have stimulated the predatory instincts of the bear, turning a stage scene into what almost became a catastrophic workplace accident. 5. Tragic inspiration from Frankenstein monster. One of the reasons that made the 1978 version of the Hulk completely different from superhero movies today was the creative mindset of director Kenneth Johnson. Instead of seeing the Hulk as a Superman with extraordinary strength to save the world, he built the character on the foundation of tragic classical literary works. The core model for the Hulk was the misplaced and pitiful nature of the monster in Mary Shelley Frankenstein. Like the creation of Frankenstein, the Hulk was a being shunned by society, an entity possessing destructive power, but a soul full of suffering and a longing to be understood. David Banner did not want to possess this power. For him, transforming was not a gift, but a disgusting and cruel curse. He was a good man, a dedicated doctor who always had to live in fear of the very beast residing within him. The combination of personal pain and the relentless pursuit of the outside world turned the show into a sad song about the human condition rather than a simple entertainment piece. 6. The song The Lonely Man and the Sadness of D minor. Every time an episode of The Green Giant ends, surely a feeling of indescribable sadness rises in the hearts of the audience when the low piano notes play. That is the music titled The Lonely Man, a lifetime work of the talented composer Joe Harnell. To create this haunting atmosphere of gloom and solitude, Joe Harnell was very subtle in choosing the key of D minor as the main tone for the entire piece. In classical music theory, D minor is always known as the saddest key, carrying the weight of despair and unspoken pain. This music is not simply a background track for the end credits, but it also carries a deep symbolic meaning for the life of the main character. It represents a brutal infinite loop that David Banner must endure throughout his escape journey. In every episode, we see him arrive in a new city, using his kindness to help strangers, but then finally, when the monster inside rises, his identity is revealed. The music plays when David must quietly carry his small bag on his shoulder, walking lonely by the roadside to leave the place where he just found a little human warmth. He leaves empty-handed, without a word of farewell, without a place to call home. That piano melody has become a cultural symbol, clearly depicting the image of a lonely genius shunned by the whole world, making viewers feel deeply for the fate of a hero with a beastly curse. 7. Shirt-ripping science and stretchable pants. The image of David Banner straining until his shirt rips apart became a classic symbol of the show, but to achieve those authentic shots, the costume team had to work like actual scientists. They had to prepare dozens of identical shirts for each scene, but they were actually made from a thinner fabric that was easier to tear than normal. The secret lay in the tailors using razor blades to pre-cut tiny slits along the seams of the shoulders and back, allowing Lou Ferrigno to rip them open with just one flex without needing too much strength. However, the biggest challenge lay in the denim pants of the character. To ensure decency on national television, the pants were absolutely not allowed to rip completely in sensitive areas. The technical team had to skillfully sew hidden elastic bands in the crotch and inner thighs, allowing the fabric to stretch to the maximum when Lou muscles expanded suddenly. Thanks to this meticulous calculation, the audience could feel the terrifying power of the Hulk while ensuring the show remained suitable for all audiences without violating strict censorship rules. 8. The structure of The Fugitive. The content structure of each Hulk episode was directly inspired by the classic movie The Fugitive. This created a very unique and highly iconic storytelling style for the entire series. In each episode, the audience saw David Banner arrive in a new land, using different fake names to hide his true identity. From a medical genius with a master intellect, he was forced to accept heavy manual labor jobs, such as a waiter, a porter, or a repairman to make a living. The repetition of this journey created a lingering and haunting sadness about an educated man who had to live the life of a homeless person, with no relatives and no place to call home. Every time he began to integrate with the kind local people, trouble would occur and the monster would rise again, forcing him to carry his bag and walk away in solitude as the closing music played. It was a cruel loop, clearly depicting the ultimate loneliness of a hero abandoned by fate. 9. The Forgotten Legacy of Bill Bixby. The final fact, and also the one that leaves the most regret, is the legacy of the late actor Bill Bixby. He was not only the soul of the film with his deeply layered portrayal of David Banner, but also served as the director for many of the best episodes in the series. Bill Bixby gave his full devotion and passion to this role until the very last days of his life, even while fighting a cruel cancer. His passing in 1993 was a painful moment for millions of fans around the world. However, one thing that film lovers always find unfair is that to this day, Bill Bixby has not yet been honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This remains a major and heated topic of debate within fan communities. Many fundraising campaigns and petitions have been organized to demand justice for this talented artist. Bill Bixby may not have a star on the Walk of Fame, but the image of a gentle man with eyes containing infinite sadness will certainly live forever in the hearts of those who love the film. 10. The visit from Mr. Rogers to dispel fear. When the show became too famous across America, a problem arose where many children were obsessed and terrified witnessing a gentle man like David Banner transform into a fierce green monster. To solve this situation, Fred Rogers, the legendary children educator from the show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, decided to film a special episode to reassure young viewers. He led the children into the makeup room of the Incredible Hulk, set to witness the transformation of Lou Ferrigno firsthand. There, Lou appeared with only half of his body painted green and was still smiling, chatting very friendly with the children. This act aimed to explain to children that the Hulk was actually just a fictional character created by makeup and acting, and the man behind the paint was still a very kind and gentle person. This historic visit not only helped reduce fear for millions of children, but also proved the profound influence of the show on cultural and educational life in America during the early years of the 80s. 11. Lou Ferrigno acting in a world without sound. The fourth fact will make you admire the will of actor Lou Ferrigno even more, which is that he transformed into the Green Giant while being almost completely deaf. Due to a serious ear infection complication as a child, Lou lost 80% of his natural hearing. This meant that on the noisy film set, he lived mostly in a silent world. Lou Ferrigno could not hear important signals from the director, such as the call to start acting or the command to stop filming. For an actor, not hearing co-stars or director instructions is a huge barrier, but for an action movie with many explosions like The Incredible Hulk, it was also a direct danger to his life. To overcome this difficulty, the film crew had to design a very special communication system specifically for him. The director often had to use flashing light signals or have someone directly touch Lou to signal him to start physical movements. Imagine, in scenes where the Hulk has to smash things or escape from large explosions, Lou had to calculate the exact timing, second by second, based on visual signals instead of sound. Performing dangerous action scenes without hearing the sound of bombs or the wreckage nearby was an extraordinary and extremely risky effort. Lou Ferrigno proved that the true strength of a hero lies not in green muscles, but in the ability to overcome physical limitations, to dedicate himself fully to art, creating a vivid and emotional Hulk on the television screen. 12. Why David Banner instead of Bruce? One of the most controversial changes from the original comic books was changing the name of the main character from Bruce Banner to David Banner. The truth behind this decision was later revealed by producer Kenneth Johnson, exposing a rather narrow-minded prejudice of the CBS television executives in the 70s. At that time, the heads of the network felt that the name Bruce sounded too effeminate and was often associated with the gay community, which was an extremely sensitive and stigmatized topic back then. They feared that such a name would reduce the appeal of a primetime drama, which needed to feel strong and universal. For that reason, they requested the name change to David Banner to sound more common, masculine, and suitable for the tastes of the general public. Despite opposition from loyal Marvel fans, the change was implemented and accidentally created a distinct mark for the television version, separating it completely from the colorful comic world to become a harsh, real-life story. 13. She-Hulk. Born from precaution. Few people know that the character She-Hulk was born in the comics, not from a simple creative idea, but as the result of a legal defense strategy by Marvel. At that time, the brilliant success of the television series made Stan Lee and Marvel lawyers extremely concerned. They heard rumors that the CBS producers intended to introduce a female version of the Hulk in the show, possibly through a blood transfusion from David Banner to a female character. According to copyright laws back then, if the television side created a new character first, Marvel might lose ownership of that character in the future, similar to the case of the Bionic Woman. To prevent this, Stan Lee quickly wrote and published Savage She-Hulk #1 to introduce the character Jennifer Walters, the cousin of Bruce Banner. Launching this character on the pages of a book before the television network could act helped Marvel secure intellectual property rights for all versions of the Hulk family. This is an interesting testament to how developments in the film world sometimes become the driving force for the growth of an entire comic book universe. 14. The Secret of the Hulk Roar. The roaring sound of the Hulk whenever he transforms is one of the elements that leaves the strongest impression on the audience, but there is an interesting fact that those sounds did not originate from the voice of Lou Ferrigno. Although Lou had an ideal physique, his natural voice lacked the deep, raspy, and fierce quality needed to portray the wildness of a beast. To create this signature roar, sound engineers had to perform an extremely elaborate layering process. They combined the actual roars of predators in the wild, such as lions and bears, to give the sound resonance and weight. Then, these sounds were blended with the powerful growling voice of actor Ted Cassidy, who possessed a uniquely deep and husky tone. The combination of wild animal sounds and a human voice created a sound unlike any creature on Earth. Thanks to this creativity, every time the Hulk roars, viewers feel a powerful vibration, sensing both the fury and the pain screaming inside a giant body. 15. The Hulk and the no-kill principle. Although the Hulk is a character with muscular strength that can destroy everything, throughout this entire television series, he almost never directly takes anyone's life. This was not a coincidence, but a strict principle applied by producers and the television network to comply with the rigorous ethical standards of that time. To ensure the film was not labeled as excessively violent and could reach younger audiences, the writers had to be extremely clever in the action scene. Instead of delivering direct punches to opponents, the Hulk often used his strength to lift villains up, toss them into haystacks, bend gun barrels, or destroy vehicles to stop a pursuit. This approach turned the Hulk into a highly humane character, showing that even in his most frantic moments, the instinct to protect life remained. Thanks to this restraint in violence, the film maintained a positive image in the eyes of the public while teaching children a valuable lesson about using strength for the right purposes instead of harming people. Looking back, The Incredible Hulk is not just a cultural icon, but also a nostalgic part of our youth. Although the visual effects of that time were simple, the messages of resilience and the pain of human existence remain as valuable as ever. I hope these facts have helped you love this series even more. As for you, what memory of David Banner do you remember forever? Please share your own story in the comments section below. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that we can travel back in time together in the next videos.